शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामने गौरतुषे नमः। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So, welcome everyone to this final stage of the Bhakti Vaibhav course. So we congratulate all of you for surviving till the end. तो बालगोपाल प्रो क्या हो गया? तो बाकी लोगों से नाराज है क्या? अच्छा, हवा चाहिए। संग ज्यादा महत्वपूर्ण है ना, थोड़ा संग में आएंगे तो अच्छा है। हाँ ठीक है, एक फैन लगाओ। हाँ ठीक। Okay, so how many chapters have been finished? Sixth canto? 8 chapters, right? How many chapters remaining? Huh? 11 chapters. 11 chapters in 5 days. Huh? I don't know. Samarpan Gopru told me to finish off the 6th canto. Huh? What message you got? Who told? So where's Janardhan? Huh? Who's online? Just tell who's online. Kaun? Okay. Vasudev Krishna Prabhu is Tirupati. Raghavan Prabhu is Nagar. Vasudev Krishna Prabhu is Tirupati, na? So only 2 are online. And who are absent? Subal Priya Prabhu, Dashrath Priya Prabhu. And who else? Janardhan Prabhu. Rajat Prabhu. So anyway, you find out how many chapters to cover. Accordingly, we'll have to decide the speed. In any case, these chapters are some good pastimes, not too philosophical and technical. So we'll try to go a bit fast only. And we'll try to learn something from the pastimes and Srila Prabhupada's purports. Okay. So we're on chapter 9, appearance of the demon Vritrasur. So this is an important section of the 6th canto as well as the Bhagavatam. So right in the first verse of the Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada quotes from the Matsya Puran, where it is mentioned that so this Bhagavatam, having 18,000 verses, contains the pastime of Vritrasur. So the pastime of Vritrasur has been given some specific significance. as an important characteristic of the Bhagavatam, because there are wonderful teachings of Dhritarashtra. Okay. So now, just to recap, where did this pastime begin? How did this pastime begin? Yes, it begins with Indra offending Brihaspati. So Brihaspati, he enters the assembly and Indra is busy with his sense gratification. And so he thought, oh, Brihaspati keeps coming in, walking out, what's so big? So he was absorbed and he failed to offer respects to Brihaspati. And Brihaspati, he doesn't say a single word, he just walks out. But along with that, he takes away all of Indra's powers. So Indra loses his powers because of the offense. Brihaspati doesn't curse, right? There was no curse, counter curse, nothing. He just silently walks out and disappears. That's all. So, throughout the Bhagavatam, there is an important aspect. Right in the preface to the Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada writes an important statement. What? The Srimad Bhagavatam is a cultural presentation for the re-spiritualization of the entire human society. Remember? Preface, few decades ago you read the preface. So it is a cultural presentation. And so it is not just a philosophical presentation. We discussed this statement before, I think, right? And the Srimad Bhagavatam is presenting a culture along with the philosophy. So what do you think is the importance of this culture? Okay, first of all, what is culture? What is culture? What is the meaning of culture? Total. Rush. Chapter 19. Okay, okay, bolo. Okay, good point. Set of rules which governs people's lifestyle. Okay, good. Huh? Yasin? Anyway, that's not working. Bolo. Okay, environment that influences character and values. Okay. So in any case, so we find culture of a place is basically lifestyle of a set of people, which when repeated again and again becomes a part of the people's nature. So just like we find in every state, in every country, there is a certain culture, right? The way they eat, the way they greet each other. So basically it is, when you talk of culture, many times people think culture means some dance and drama. But culture is basically a lifestyle. So we find that different states within India, different states have different cultures. So Gujaratis, Rajasthanis, I heard, I don't know, they tend to have sweets in the beginning. Some places they have at the end. Some places a lot of chilies. So we find there is a lifestyle. And then what to speak of different countries? Every country has its own set of values which governs the people, and that makes their lifestyle. And so within ISKCON, the Hare Krishnas have their own lifestyle, addressing each other as Prabhu, Mataji, hairstyle, dressing style. So this is all culture. So Srila Prabhupada is saying Bhagavatam is a cultural presentation. So right from the beginning we see that culture within the Bhagavatam. So just like we find conversation between Narad Muni and Vyasadeva, how Vyasadeva is welcoming Narad Muni. How Narad Muni is also very respectful to his disciple Vyasadeva, because Vyasadeva is no ordinary disciple. He is incarnation of the Supreme Lord. So he is also addressing Vyasadeva as Prabhu. Then later on we find dealings between Kardamuni and Swayambhu and Brahmaji, dealings between Kardamuni and Swayambhu Manu. So throughout the Bhagavatam you'll find a culture, certain values, behavior that governs the personalities within the Bhagavatam. Then the well-known pastime in the third canto of Vidura meeting Uddhav, and then Vidura requests Uddhav to speak about the confidential subject matters which he heard from the Supreme Lord. And what does Uddhav do? Yes, he directs him to Maitreya. And there Srila Prabhupada writes elaborate purport on Maryada Vyatikrama. And then again in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, so many different examples and pastimes showing Maryada, lifestyle, culture. Okay, so why is this important? Why is this culture, Maryada, etiquettes, why is it important within the study of the Bhagavatam? Why is it important? Why is it not sufficient just to understand philosophy? One can become a great Pandit knowing the philosophy of the Bhagavatam, but it is not just about philosophy. Why? Because at the end of the Bhakti Vaibhav course, if we have not understood this point, then we have missed the crux of the Bhagavatam. So why is it important? Practice for oneself means what? Okay, one thing is okay, applying in one's life. Okay, fine. Why is this culture, Maryada, etiquette, Sadachar important along with the study of the philosophy? Okay, good points. Okay, now to apply the philosophy, we should know how to deal with the devotees. Okay, good. What else? Yes. Right. Good. Yes. So we find that Krishna is speaking about qualities. Where in the Bhagavad Gita? Yes, one reference is 13th chapter verses 8 to 12. where Krishna speaks about Jnanam, Amanitvam, Adambitvam, Arjuvam, Shaucham, all that. Then where else? 12th chapter, end of Bhakti Yoga, the last section, verses 13 to 20. Krishna is speaking about a big list of qualities. That means the prayojan, the result of practicing Bhakti Yoga should be the development of good qualities. Because the good qualities are naturally present in the soul, soul being part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. But now all the good qualities are covered by material contamination. So the proof of purification of the material contamination by the practice of Bhakti Yoga is the development of good qualities. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada writes in that same purport, 13 chapter verses 8 to 12. In that same purport, Srila Prabhupada writes that the development of these good qualities is a test how one is progressing in devotional service. That is the test. So therefore, the application of the philosophy should lead to purification, and purification should lead to development of good qualities. Okay, some other points. Why is this culture important? Culture, sadachar, maryada. Why is it important? Okay, good point. Yes, Prabhupada says what? Yes, the advancement of a person in Krishna consciousness depends upon the attitude of the follower. Reference? NY preface. Yes. Something else? Why is it important? Okay, good point. So by proper sadachar, one's attraction for Krishna Katha will increase. What is the connection? Okay, fine. So basically, Krishna is pleased. Krishna is pleased by the good behavior. And then by Krishna's mercy, one will develop taste. Vasudev Kataruchi. Okay, good point. Yes, Krishna will be attracted by the qualities. Very good example in that connection is? Okay, Sanatan Goswami. In the Bhagavatam? Yes, Prithu Maharaj. When Prithu Maharaj gave up the performance of the 100th hour sacrifice without a single word of argument on Brahmaji's instruction, then Lord Vishnu personally appeared, and Lord Vishnu told Prithu Maharaj, I am captivated by what? By the yajna? No, by what? Yes, by excellent qualities and behavior. The Lord himself is saying, I'm captivated. And then the Lord says, I'm not captivated by sacrifice, tapasya, charity. I'm not attracted by all these things. I'm captivated by these good qualities. Are you also? Yes, good. So when the etiquettes are properly followed, there are less chances of offenses. That is why the etiquettes are there. So that there's some maryada. And we don't cross that maryada. Then we'll be saved from offenses. Yes. 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 So by the practice of devotional service, the good qualities develop. So therefore, the Bhagavatam is teaching this culture throughout the Bhagavatam. And we have to be attentive to these aspects of culture that the Bhagavatam is presenting. We can find it everywhere. And so that is an important aspect to learn along with the philosophy. Okay, fine. So here, there was a breach of etiquette when Indra fails to respect Brihaspati. Result of that, he lost all his powers. Then what happened after that? Yes. At the same time, the demons became powerful by worshipping their spiritual master Shukracharya. Then what happened? Okay, they attacked. The demigods had to hide. Then आगे क्या हुआ? Yes, Indra went to Brahma. Then Brahma chastised, and then yes, he told to approach Vishwarup, and then Vishwarup gave them yes the Narayan Kavach shield, the Narayan Kavach. Okay, so that was the last chapter. So now we'll proceed. Okay, so now there's a description of Vishwarup. First verse, let's recite. Shri Shuka Uvacha Tasya San Vishwarupasya Shriramsi Trini Bharata Somapitam Surapitam Annadam Iti Shushruma. Shri Shukdev Goswami continued. Vishwarupa was engaged as the priest of the demigods at three heads. He used one to drink the beverage somaras, another to drink wine, and the third to eat food. O King Parikshit, thus I have heard from authorities. Iti Shushruma. In the word-to-word Prabhupada says, I have heard by the parampara system. And that is what Srila Prabhupada focuses in the purport. So Prabhupada says, all the modern scientists have invented many powerful space vehicles. They cannot even go to the moon, not to speak of other planets. By direct experience, one cannot learn anything beyond the range of human perception. One must hear from authorities. Therefore, Shukdev Goswami, a great personality, says, what I am describing to you, O king, is what I have heard from authoritative sources. This is the Vedic system. The Vedic knowledge is called Shruti because it must be received by being heard from authorities. It is beyond the realm of our false experimental knowledge. So therefore, presenting the message as it is in parampara is very important. Because that is how the message becomes perfect, by repeating the message of the parampara. So when Srila Prabhupada was asked, are you perfect? What Prabhupada said? Yes, I may not be perfect, but what I'm speaking is perfect because it is coming from the perfect source. So if you repeat the message as it is, then it will have spiritual potency. And that is what is very important. And again, this is one thing, again, we find throughout the Bhagavatam, anyone who speaks something always gives reference to an authority. Every pastime you can see that. So just like the whole pastime of the four Kumaras going to Vaikunta, Shukdev Goswami is telling from, but then he's saying, from where did he hear that? So that was spoken by Brahma to the Devatas. And so that is the reference. And that is how Shukdev Goswami got to know that story. So similarly, Shukdev Goswami, when he narrates the Ajamil pastime, so there also he says, I've heard this. So you'll find every speaker within the Bhagavatam, when they narrate a pastime, they give a reference. Nobody says, I think. My opinion. No. So this is the etiquette of presenting Shastra. So everything has to be in parampara. And so if we are asked what is the reference, we should be able to tell what is the reference. Otherwise, if we don't know the reference, then better not to speak. So sometimes we ask someone, what is the reference? No, I heard it from someone. Oh, who's the someone? Okay, that someone should be able to tell some reference, no? So this is how parampara gets distorted. Evam parampara praptam imam rajashvidu sakala neha mahata yogo nashta parantapa. With time, this is how things get distorted. So today somebody will introduce something, and then one person introduces, then how many people hear that? So many people will hear that. So just like here some 20 people are there. If I speak something, introduce some new fancy thing, and then each of you will think it is most authorized, and then each of you will speak to another 100 people. So then the message goes to each of 20 people speak to 100 people each. So that is how the message spreads. And then after some years, that wrong message becomes bona fide. So in that connection, Srila Bhakti Thakur tells a story, no? Two stories he tells actually. One is about Sargal Singh. You know Sargal Singh story, right? How many know Sargal Singh? Only 3 people know Sargal Singh. Dashath Prabhu, tell quickly.
There was a washerman, he had a donkey.
And that is to be told at the end.
Okay. So he had completely shaven his head. So somebody asked him that why did you shave your head? So he said that because Sargal Singh died. So then he also goes and he shaves his head. Then somebody else asked him, why did you say that? Continues for many people. Everybody shaves their head and then they're
lamenting.
Lamenting. Then somebody they asked that why did you
so
say?
Then finally the message went to the king. Because the minister also shaved.
Yeah. And the king asked that who is that person who was the first person. They go to the first person, they ask him, who is Sargal Singh? And Sargal Singh is the name of my donkey.
So nobody bothered to ask who is Sargal Singh. So everyone accepted, oh, Sargal Singh must be some very important personality. And without clarifying, without verification, everyone shaved their head and everyone was lamenting. But nobody clarified who is Sargal Singh. So, and he also tells another story of this person who became a ghost. Bhagwan, right? Bhagwan has become a ghost. You know the story, you can tell in short?
That king had minister and he had many other ministers also, but prime minister was there. So other ministers were always envious of him, this minister. But then they thought, somehow to get rid of this person. So I think he goes away to some place, and I think they hide him somewhere. Or I don't know. Something happens that he's not able to meet king for a long time. And then once he wanted to meet king, but they keep him away from the king. So to meet, once the ministers are walking with the king, and then this Bhagavan, the minister, he climbs the tree and he shouts, calling out the king.
Because the rumor was spread all around that Bhagavan has become a ghost.
Then the king says that he's shouting, and then the minister says he's not Bhagavan, it is his ghost. And then
after some time again, the person is there, but somebody says, no, he has become a ghost. So when 4 or 5 people say he has become a ghost, then the king also thinks, oh, must be true, he has actually become a ghost. So when same thing is repeated again and again, it becomes bona fide. So therefore, we must be very careful of what we speak. So just like His Holiness Jayadvaita Maharaj in his Prabhupada Kirtan Standards book. So he says that, so now people have introduced some new tunes and this and that. And then you tell them that, Arey, this is not bona fide. Oh, this is not bona fide. We have been doing it since so many years. So what is non-bona fide becomes bona fide, and what is bona fide becomes wrong. This is what happens with the passage of time. And this is how paramparas become distorted, and this is how apasampradayas come. When the wrong message is repeated again and again, then that becomes the philosophy. The wrong message becomes a philosophy, and that becomes the bona fide sampradaya, which actually is apasampradaya. That is what happens. Sa kala neha mahata. This is by the influence of time. And therefore, whose responsibility is to maintain the parampara? Whose responsibility? The members of the parampara. It is our responsibility to maintain the purity of the message. And therefore, Srila Prabhupada hammered this point again and again. Don't add, don't subtract, don't concoct, don't change, keep things as it is. So therefore, if we are not sure about the authenticity of something, better not to speak. Because if somebody is sitting on the Vyasasana or anywhere and speaking, people tend to think it's correct. And then they will repeat it. And that is how the message will spread. So when I speak something, I must be sure that what I'm speaking, every word of what I'm speaking is bona fide. If I'm not sure, better confirm it or don't speak. Otherwise, we are doing disservice. We're doing disservice to many people. So therefore, that is always the best thing to do. And therefore here, even Shukdev Goswami, therefore Prabhupada says, Shukdev Goswami, great personality, but still he's not saying, I think my opinion. He's saying, I've heard from parampara. Okay? Okay, fine. So now you all can read some translations. We are not going to recite all the verses. So we'll recite only important verses. Otherwise, you can read the translations in line. Okay? So no confusion. Everyone read two translations.
O Maharaj Parikshit, the demigods were related to Vishwarup from his father's side, and therefore he visibly offered clarified butter in the fire while chanting mantras such as Indriya Idam Swaha. This is meant for King Indra, and Idam Agnaye. This is for the demigod of fire. He loudly chanted these mantras and offered each of the demigods his proper share.
Next.
Although offering clarified butter in the sacrificial fire in the name of the demigods, without the knowledge of demigods, he also offered oblations to the demons because they were his relatives through his mother.
Okay, so offerings to the demigods, he chanted loudly. But offerings to the demons, because the demigods are watching, so the offerings to the demons, how he chanted? Paroksham. Softly, without the knowledge of the demigods. So that he chanted softly. So he was doing something secretly. So why? Because from his mother's side, he was related to the demons. So the genealogy is Kashyap and Aditi gave birth to Tvashta. So his son, so Tvashta's son through Rachana, a daughter of the demons, was Vishwarup. So Kashyap and Aditi, their son was Tvashta. So therefore, from Kashyap and Aditi, both of them are demigods. Right? Kashyap is of course his father for both, but Aditi is mother of demigods. So that is how Vishwarup is related to the demigods. But then, so this Vishwarup's father is related to the demigods. But his father married Rachana, who was a daughter of demon. So that is how mother side related to demons, father side demigods. So that is why he's offering oblations to both. So one thing is doing openly, another thing is doing secretly. Okay, next.
Once upon a time, however, the king of heaven, Indra, understood that Vishwarup was secretly cheating the demigods by offering oblations on behalf of the demons. He became extremely afraid of being defeated by the demons, and in great anger at Vishwarup, he cut Vishwarup's 3 heads from his shoulders.
Insecurity. So immediately Indra felt insecure. Oh, he's offering oblations to the demons. They'll become powerful. And if they become powerful, they will take my post. So that's how the material attachments always lead to insecurity. So one always is in fear. Somebody will take away my material attachments. So that's always the case with Indra. Of course, he's teaching us. But to the degree one has material attachments, to the degree one is attached to sense gratification, to that degree one has fears, insecurities, and therefore one cannot be in peace. But one who has no material attachments, he can be happy. So, how to remain happy? Of course, we know the peace formula. What? Bhoktaram Yagyatapasam. But anyway, yesterday we just happened to read a nice verse from the, somebody can open. This is 9th canto. 19th chapter. And this will be some text 14 or 15, something like that. Read the translation. Read the next one. Yes, read.
When a man is non-envious and does not desire ill fortune for anyone, he is equipoised. For such a person, all directions appear happy.
Yes, so Prabhupada begins the purport by saying, Vishwam Purna Sukayati. So, when one is non-envious, one can be happy. Why does one become envious? Why does one become envious? Attachment to sense gratification. Material attachments is the cause of envy. I want something, but I don't have, but he has. That's how one becomes envious. So when one becomes envious, how can one be peaceful? One cannot be peaceful. So therefore, when to the degree one becomes non-envious and one is satisfied with what one has, with what Krishna has given, if one is satisfied, there is no hankering for sense gratification, no hankering for posts and positions, no hankering for followers. Otherwise, these days, so much competition. Who has more followers? I have less followers, he has more followers. So I must do something. Otherwise, I can't rest in peace. So as long as there is desire for sense gratification, there is envy, and then one cannot be happy. But of course, Srila Prabhupada is explaining in that purport that who can come to that platform? It's only a Paramahamsa, can become totally free from envy. Paramahamsa, totally free from envy. Therefore, Vishwam Purna Sukhayate. But at least we should endeavor in that direction. So, but we see in the case of Indra, always insecurity, always fear. Why? Attachments. So to the degree there's attachment, there's always fear of losing it. Therefore, Shochati, Kankshati. But when one comes to the Brahmbhuta platform, Brahmbhuta Prasannatma, na Shochati, na Kankshati, peaceful. That is the way to become happy and peaceful, right? So, and because of that envy, because of the attachment, Indra is blinded because of the material attachments. And without a second thought, just took out his sword, cut off the heads of Vishwarup, Brahmana, Brahma Hatya on the spot. Uncontrolled anger arising out of envy. Next. You got a question? Okay.
Raji, here, like Indra is envious of demon. So if he loses, if they fight and he loses, Indra loses the battle, then demon will rule. So, and he's non-devotee. So then it is better that Indra is somewhat mixed devotee than he rules. So is it that in that sense, Indra is somewhat mixed devotee, so better than demon is not getting the throne.
Okay, that's good for the general population. For the general population, it's good that a devotee rules. That is correct. But as far as Indra is concerned, his action is not appropriate. Why? Why? Okay, one thing is he's killing a Brahmana. There's one more reason. If you remember the previous
Guru.
Okay, his guru. Yes, he's Brahmana. He's a guru. Yes, he was already warned about it. It's not new. Brahmaji warned him. Brahmaji gave solution, but he also gave the warning. Brahmaji gave warning. He has relation to the demons and he is going to offer something to the demons and you must tolerate. The guru has given instruction. So therefore, Indra is wrong. Because Brahmaji is guru. So he has given instruction. If he wants to be successful, he should tolerate. He didn't follow. That is so he disobeyed his guru and he killed another guru. So therefore it cannot be justified. Okay, ठीक है, आगे पढ़ो.
5. Thereafter, the head meant for drinking somaras was transformed into kapinjala, francolin partridge. Similarly, the head meant for drinking wine was transformed into kalavinka, sparrow, and the head meant for eating food became tittiri, common partridge.
Next.
Although Indra was so powerful that he could neutralize the sinful reactions for killing a Brahmana, he repentantly accepted the burden of these reactions with folded hands. He suffered for 1 year and then to purify himself, he distributed the reactions for the sinful killing among earth, water, trees, and women.
So therefore, so he understood. He has knowledge. It is not that Indra doesn't have knowledge. Even when he offended Brihaspati, how much time did it take for Indra to realize his mistake? Yes, immediately, on the spot, he realized his mistake. But still, too late. Even though he realized his mistake on the spot, but that one moment was too late, finished. So that's how one has to be very attentive in one's practice of devotional service. Shurasya dhara. Walking on razor's edge. Especially for those in the renounced order. One has to be extremely careful. Small mistake could lead to disasters. Then afterwards one may say, oh, that was small mistake only. No, finished. Indra also made small mistake only, no? Small mistake. He didn't receive him, that's all. Small mistake. Disaster, finished. Then he was lamenting, he was cursing his opulence, he was saying, to hell with all my opulence, I did all this. No use. So now here he has killed Vishwarup. Did he realize his mistake? Yes, immediately he realized. Therefore, what he's doing? Repentance. So therefore, he is repenting with folded hands. Brahma hatyam anjalina jagraha. So because for this Brahma hatya, with folded hands, he took responsibility for killing the Brahmana. And as Srila Prabhupada in the translation, he says, he repentantly accepted the burden, right? So he was repenting. He was repenting for his mistake. And so, as Vishnu Chakragur says, Indra thought, I do not know where I will fall in hell. So he understood for Brahmatya, killing Brahmana, there's every possibility of going to hell. So I should take the result now. So he thinks better than going to hell is, let me atone for this offense. Let me atone for this mistake. Let me undergo tapasya. And that is how I can be saved from going to hell. And so therefore, for 1 year, he did this repentance. And that is how he got purified, by that repentance. But still the sinful reactions remained. And his body was contaminated by the sinful reactions. So therefore, he thought that he needs to purify the elements of the body. Bhumi, Rapo, Nala, Vayu, Kham. All of the elements of the body that have been contaminated by sinful reaction, they need to be purified. And that is the reason why he distributed the reactions. So four reactions he distributed. Because Vishnu Chakragur says that the Kama, the sky cannot be contaminated. And so therefore, Bhumi, Apo, Nala, Vayu. So to neutralize the sinful contamination to these 4 elements of the body, he distributed the reactions to 4 people. So that is the reason why he distributed to the 4 people. But then he says that, but still some sinful reaction remained in the antakarana, in the subtle body. Some sinful propensity still remained. And that is the reason why he again killed a Brahmana, that is Vritarasura. So you can see everything is very subtle. Everything is very stringent. One cannot escape. Therefore, Prabhupada, in so many lectures, Prabhupada gives the warning. The laws of nature are very stringent. Very stringent. So therefore, one needs to be very careful in whatever one is doing. Whatever action one is doing, one needs to be very careful. So therefore, before doing anything, one should always think, what I'm doing, is it in accordance to dharma or not? Is it in accordance to scriptures or not? So one should always be cautious. Otherwise, reactions could be disastrous. Continue, please.
In return for King Indra's benediction that ditches in the earth would be filled automatically, the land accepted 1/4 of the sinful reactions for killing a Brahmana. Because of those sinful reactions, we find many deserts on the surface of earth.
Right. So Indra gave benediction, and in reciprocation for the benediction that Indra gave these different people, so they agreed to accept some sinful reaction, and so therefore there are deserts on the surface of the earth. Again.
That their branches and wings would grow back when trimmed. The tree accepted 1/4 of the reactions for killing a Brahmana. These reactions are visible in the flowing of sap from trees. Therefore, one is forbidden to drink this sap.
सैप क्या बोलते हैं सैप हिंदी? नहीं, लेकिन कुछ पेड़ों से वो जो निकलता है लोग पीते हैं ना उसको. हाँ, कुछ तो होता है. हाँ, ताल वृक्ष का. अच्छा. So in any case, so that is not to be taken. Otherwise, one will also get sinful reactions if one takes that. ठीक है, next.
In return for Lord Indra's benediction that they would be able to enjoy lusty desires continuously even during pregnancy for as long as sex is not injurious to the embryo. Women accept 1/4 of sinful reactions. As a result of those reactions, women manifest the sins of
Signs.
manifestation every month.
Right. Okay, so that is a sinful reaction for the women. Okay, next.
And in return for King Indra's benediction, the water would increase the volume of other substances with which it was mixed. Water accepted 1/4 of the sinful reactions. Therefore, there are bubbles and foam in water. When one collects water, these should be avoided.
So that is also manifestation of sinful reactions. So therefore, Prabhupada also says one should avoid foam and bubbles while collecting drinking water. Okay. So in this way, Indra distributed the sinful reactions, and he also repented for those sinful activities. Then what happened? Okay.
After Vishwarupa was killed, his father Twasta performed ritualistic ceremonies to kill Indra. He offered oblations in the sacrificial fire, saying, "O enemy of Indra, flourish to kill your enemy without delay."
Yes. So then he performed a sacrifice to create an enemy who would kill Indra. But then there was some mistake in the chanting of the mantras. And as a result, a person was born who would be killed by Indra. So anyway, there are some technical details of the chanting of the mantras. But then the important point is that how in other processes like karma kand and all, everything needs to be very precise. A small mistake and totally opposite result could take place. But then on the path of devotional service, such technical accuracy is not required. Because the Lord is more interested in the moods, the intention, not exactly emotion, intention. So the Lord is more interested in the intention behind an activity rather than in the accuracy of technicalities. And therefore, that's the advantage on the path of bhakti. But in the other paths, everything needs to be very precise. And unless everything is precise, everything is completed, then only one will get the full benefit. So small mistake here, and then there was an exactly opposite result. Rather than somebody who would be the cause for killing Indra, somebody is born who would be the cause of being killed by Indra. So he performed sacrifice then.
Thereafter, from the southern side of the sacrificial fire, known as Anvaharya, came a fearful personality who looked like the destroyer of the entire creation at the end of the millennium.
Okay. So like the description of Vritrasur.
Like arrows released in the four directions, the demon's body grew day after day, tall and blackish. He appeared like a burnt hill and was as lustrous as a bright array of clouds in the evening. The hair on the demon's body and his beard and mustache were the color of melted copper, and his eyes were piercing like the midday sun. He appeared unconquerable, as if holding the three worlds on the points of his blazing trident. Dancing and shouting with a loud voice, he made the entire surface of the earth tremble, as if from an earthquake. As he yawned again and again, he seemed to be trying to swallow the whole sky with his mouth, which was as deep as a cave. He seemed to be licking up all the stars in the sky and
with his tongue
and eating the entire universe with his long sharp teeth. Seeing this gigantic demon, everyone in great fear ran here and there in all directions.
So there's a description of Vritrasur, very fearful. Again.
That very fearful demon, who was actually the son of Twasta, covered all the planetary systems by dint of austerity. Therefore, he was named Vritta, or one who covers everything.
So he's covering all the planetary systems, so huge.
The demigods, headed by Indra, charged the demon with their soldiers, striking him with their own transcendental bows and arrows and other weapons, but Vrittasur swallowed all their weapons.
So just swallowed them. You can imagine. Somebody swallowing weapons.
Struck with wonder and disappointment upon seeing the strength of the demon, the demigods lost their own strength. Therefore, they all met together to try to please the super soul, the supreme personality of Godhead, Narayana, by worshipping him.
So this is a good quality of the demigods. Any problem, they will go to the Supreme Lord. So here again problem, again they're going to Narayan. And so they're offering prayers to Narayan. Let's recite these prayers. Shri Deva Uchu, we'll recite together. Vayambaragni apikshitasya triloka brahmadhayo ye vayamudvijantaha haramayasmai balimantakoso bhibeti yasmadaranam tato naha.
The demigod said, the three worlds are created by the five elements, namely ether, air, fire, water, and earth, which are controlled by various demigods, beginning from Lord Brahma. Being very much afraid that the time factor will end our existence, we offer presentations unto time by performing our work as time dictates. The time factor himself, however, is afraid of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, let us now worship that Supreme Lord who alone can give us full protection.
Okay, so they know very well that it's only the Supreme Lord who can give them protection. And they know that by the influence of time, everything is going to be destroyed. So they're afraid that by the influence of time, this Vrithanasura is going to take away everything. But they do understand that the Supreme Lord is in full control of even time. And so therefore, they want to take shelter of the Supreme Lord. Bhiveti yasmat aranam tataha nah. So even fear personified is also afraid of the Supreme Lord. And so therefore they want to take shelter of the Supreme Lord. Prabhupada writes, when one is afraid of being killed, one must take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is worshipped by all the demigods, beginning from Brahma, although they are in charge of the various elements of this material world. The words Bibheti Yasmat indicate that all the demons, regardless of how great and powerful, fear the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The demigods, being afraid of death, took shelter of the Lord and offered him these prayers. Although the time factor is fearful to everyone, fear personified is afraid of the Supreme Lord, who is therefore known as Abhaya, fearless. Taking shelter of the Supreme Lord brings actual fearlessness, and therefore the demigods decided to take shelter of the Lord. Bhajahu Remana Shri Nandanandana Abhaya Charanaravindare. What is the cause of fear? What is the cause of fear? Famous verse from the 11th canto. Yes, Bhayam Dvitiya Abhiniveshata Syat. Abhinivesh means what? Absorption. Absorption in Dvitiya. Dvitiya means something other than the Supreme Lord. So when there's absorption in something or someone other than the Supreme Lord, then that is the cause of fear. Because anything else in this material world is going to be destroyed. So therefore there's fear. But if one takes shelter of the Supreme Lord, no fear, because Supreme Lord is eternal, everything in relation to the Supreme is also eternal. Okay, again, next. Avismitam tam paripurna kamam svene valabhena samam prashantam vino parsarpatya param hi balishah shvalangurlena titatrati sindhum.
Free from all material conception of existence and never wonder-struck by anything. The Lord is always jubilant and fully satisfied by his own spiritual perfection. He has no material designations, and therefore he is steady and unattached. That Supreme Personality of Godhead is the only shelter of everyone. Anyone desiring to be protected by others is certainly a great fool who desires to cross the sea by holding the tail of a dog.
Right. So first of all, they're glorifying the Supreme Lord. The qualities of the Supreme Lord is Paripurna Kamam. Paripurna Kamam. He is totally satisfied. He is Atmaram. He is Aptakam. Even if he has some desires, he can satisfy them himself. And so therefore, Svena eva labhena samam prashantam. So the Lord is always satisfied, he is equipoised, he is prashanta, steady. Why? Because he has no material desires. Bhagavad Gita. What does Bhagavad Gita say? Na karma phale spriha. Namam karmani limpanti, name karma phale spriha. So he has no spriha, he has no desires. Because he has no material desires, therefore he does not have to perform any activities. So he is always satisfied. He has no material attachments. And or the other word, namam, what's that? From the Upanishads? What is that? How does it begin? Natasya karyam karanam cha vidyate, natats sama cha abhyatikasya drishyate, parasya shaktir vividhe vashriyate swabhaviki jnanabal. So even if the Lord wants to do something, he has all his energies to do. So therefore one should take shelter of such a supreme Lord. But one who is foolish, then he takes shelter of somebody else, aparam, somebody else other than the supreme Lord. And therefore such a person is balisha. He's balisha, he's childish, he's foolish, because taking shelter of anybody else other than the supreme Lord is like shva langulena atitarti sindhum. So somebody who's trying to cross the ocean by catching a dog's tail. So if a dog is trying to swim across the ocean, and if somebody tries to catch the dog's tail, what the dog will do? So the dog will get frightened, and the person who's catching, he'll also drown, and the dog also will drown. So that is what will happen. So therefore, taking shelter of anybody else is foolish. Therefore, Prabhupada writes, a dog can swim in the water, but if a dog dives in the ocean and someone wants to cross the ocean by holding the dog's tail, he's certainly fool number one. A dog cannot cross the ocean, nor can a person cross the ocean by catching a dog's tail. Similarly, one who desires to cross the ocean of nations should not seek the shelter of any demigod or anyone else, but the fearless shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Famous verse, Samashritaye padapallavaplavam mahat padam punya yasho murare bhavam buddhirvatsa padam param padam padam yad vipadam natesham. So the Lord's lotus feet are compared to boats, indestructible boats. But if one takes shelter of that boat, what will happen? The whole ocean of material existence will become water contained in the hoofprint of a calf. Vatsapadam. Then where is the need of the boat then to cross? There's no need of the boat. Anyone can cross. So therefore, one should seek the shelter of the all-powerful instead of trying to be protected by one's own concocted ideas. Prabhupada is giving a nice explanation. So taking shelter of somebody else does not refer only to taking shelter of some devatas, some other process, but also one's own concocted ideas. So therefore, one should simply accept the message of the parampara without concocting anything. So that is, otherwise one will not be able to be successful in trying to cross over the material existence. And that is pure devotional service. So in the Bhagavad Gita 9th chapter 30th verse, a sadhu is defined as 9th chapter 30th verse. Bhajate mam ananya bhak sadhureva samantavya. So the symptom of a sadhu is bhajate mam ananya bhak. And commenting on that, Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur puts three conditions for that bhajate mam ananya bhak. What are they? Worships only the Supreme Lord and no one else, like devatas and this one and that one. Second is, does not take shelter of any other process like karma, jnana, yoga, only bhakti. And third is, one only strives to satisfy the Supreme Lord and no one else, the desires of the Supreme Lord. So all these conditions fall under bhajate mam ananya bhak. That's a sadhu. And therefore, we should have firm faith in the shelter of the Supreme Lord and not find shelter somewhere else, including astrologers. And devatas. So we're hearing sometimes devotees these days are also taking shelter of some devatas for some reasons, doing some pujas. So that's a contamination within pure devotional service. So we find Srila Prabhupada never recommended such things. And our firm faith should be that Krishna is powerful enough to purify us and help us cross the ocean of material existence. No one else is required. Everyone else is Bhritya. Ekaleshwar Krishna, Arasava Bhritya. So if everyone else is Bhritya, then what Krishna cannot do, what the Bhritya can do? He can do, no? So why should one take shelter of anybody else? So that's faith. Shraddha Shabda Vishwase kohe, Sudrida Nishay, Krishna Bhakti koile, Sarva Karma Krita hoy. There's no need for anything else. One needs to have that firm faith. So now, the Devatas are giving various examples of how the Lord saved many personalities in the past. So they're giving a few examples. Read. Okay, let's recite. 23. Yasyo Rushringe Jagatim Swanavam Manor Yatha Bhadyatatar Durgam Sa Eva Nastvashtra Bhayad Durantat Trata Shrutan Vari Charopi Nonam.
The Manu named King Satyavrat formerly saved himself by tying the small boat of the entire world to the horn of the Matsya Avatar, the fish incarnation. By the grace of the Matsya Avatar, Manu saved himself from the great danger of the flood. May that same fish incarnation save us from the great and fearful danger caused by the son of Twesta.
Next.
In the beginning of creation, a tremendous wind caused fierce waves of inundating water. The great waves made such a horrible sound that Lord Brahma almost fell from his seat on the lotus into the water of devastation, but he was saved with the help of the Lord. Thus, we also expect the Lord to protect us from this dangerous condition. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who created us by his external potency, and by whose mercy we expand the creation of the universe, is always situated before us as the Super Soul. But we cannot see him, see his form. We are unable to see him because all of us think that we are separate and independent gods.
Yes. Okay, let's recite this. Ya eka isho nijamayana sasarjayena nusujama vishvam vayam nayasya pipura samihata pashyama lingam pratag isha maninaha. So they're saying that so as far as the Supreme Lord is concerned, so they accept that yes, we have done this creation, Anusrijama Vayam. So we have done this creation. Of course, they understand it's everything by the potency of the Supreme Lord. But then they're saying, Api Puraha Samihataha Pashyama Lingam. So then we cannot see. Na Pashyama. We are not able to see the form of the Lord. Why they're not able to see? Pritak Isha Maninaha. Because they're thinking of themselves as independent controllers. Isha Manina. That is the reason why they're not able to see the form of the Lord. So you see, they know all the philosophy, they know. They know all the philosophy. So Prabhupada explains that point. Here's an explanation of why the conditioned soul cannot see the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face. Even though the Lord appears before us as Lord Krishna, Lord Ramchandra, and lives in human society as a leader or king, the conditioned soul cannot understand him. Okay, not seeing him means it could be taken in a literal sense also, not seeing him. But we find that some people saw him, actually saw him. They saw the form, like Duryodhan saw. Who else saw? So all the demons. Shishupal saw. Kamsa also saw. Kali also saw. Could they understand? No. So, sometimes even seeing the form is difficult, and sometimes they may see the form, but they don't understand. So it is as good as not seeing. Avajananti ma mudha manusham tanumashritam. However insignificant we are, we think that we are also gods, that we can create a universe or that we can create another God. This is why we cannot see or understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is a very important point. So the reason why one is not able to understand the Supreme Lord is Isha Manina. Isha Manina. So what is the connection between these two? This Isha Manina and not being able to understand the Supreme Lord. What is the connection? Bolo. Okay, so one is thinking, I am the God. So therefore one cannot understand the Supreme Lord. One's rebellious nature. Okay, good. What else? So because of that mentality, why he cannot understand the Supreme Lord? What is the problem?
Service, there is no service rendered for the Lord, so there is no blessings and there is no realization.
Yes, that's a good point. So if I'm thinking I am God, then should I serve or be served? Then how can service attitude develop if I think I am God? And without the service attitudes, what will happen? If there's no service attitude, what will happen? Huh? Why? Yes. No service attitude, Krishna is not pleased. And without Krishna's grace, there is no realization, there is no revelation. And so therefore, what is very important is this contamination of Isha Manina, which one has since time immemorial, that needs to be purified. One's rebellious nature, because one is thinking, I am God, I am the enjoyer, I am the controller. So as long as one has this mentality, then one cannot serve, one cannot develop the service attitude. But the Shastra again saying, Atha Shri Krishna Namadi na bhaved grahyam indriye sevon mukhe hi jivvado swayam eva sfuratya adha. So one cannot understand the Supreme Lord's name, form, etc. with one's blunt material senses. But when the mind and the senses are purified, sevon mukehi jivvado. By engaging the mind and senses in the Lord's service, when they become purified, then Krishna reveals himself. So therefore, understanding the Supreme Lord and developing a taste in Krishna consciousness requires the Lord's mercy. Two more verses we can quote from Brahmaji's prayers after the Brahma Vimohan Leela. Atapidadeva padambujadvaya prasadaleshanugrihita evahi janati tattvam bhagavan mahimno na chanyam eko pichiram vichinvan. Chiram vichinvan. Even if one speculates for a very long time, still one cannot understand till one has prasadaleshan, at least a trace of the Lord's mercy. Another verse. Jnane prayasamudapasya namanta eva jivanti sanmukaritam bhavadiya vata sthane stita shrutigatam tanuvan manobhi ye prayaso ajita jita apite strilokyam. So, jnane prayasam, give up all these tendencies for speculation, give them up. And do what? What? Namanta eva. Namanta means? Namanta means what? Offering obeisance is easy. Become submissive. That's how it is translated. One has to become submissive. That is the difficult part. Externally, one can offer obeisances. But becoming submissive internally, that is the difficult part. But that is what is required. So the tendency for speculation, the tendency for I think, I know, why should I follow somebody else? I know everything, why should I follow? Huh? Yes, my way is highway. So all these tendencies are there. All these are symptoms of Ishamanina. One does not want to follow. And so therefore, when these tendencies are there, then namanta eva becomes difficult. But if one agrees to be submissive and simply accept the Shastra as it is, san mukaritham bhavadiya varta, one accepts the varta, the news of the spiritual worlds, one accepts as it is, then sthane sthita shrutigatam, remain in whatever position, remain, but here. So that requires submission, isn't it? Hearing requires a lot of submission. Sitting in a class and hearing, very difficult. Because I know everything, why should I hear? Correct? I know everything. Then why should I hear? So at least I'll sit and hear online, then I can do 10 things simultaneously. And make good use of time. Because anyway, what this fellow is going to speak, I know everything. Why should I waste time? Okay, namesake I'll hear. साथ में और 10 चीज हो जाएगा. My success. Wow. Avyartha kalatvam. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada again and again, he gave the example of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who said what? Guru Mora Murkha Deki Karila Shashan. Fool number one. So therefore that Prabhupada also told the story of the Mridang teacher. We all know the story, right? Mridang teacher. So then the student who said, I already know. Then what? Double fee. So as long as we have this mentality, I know, then one cannot be submissive. But that is the primary qualification for progress. The first qualification, amanitvam, first step, Prabhupada writes, first step to progress on the spiritual path, amanitvam, humility. So if that is not there, and if one is thinking, oh, I've spent so many years, I know all the philosophy, I give so many lectures to others. Why should I hear this Bhagavatam speaker? I know what he's going to speak. Even before he speaks, I know what he. So many times we have given example of His Grace Jananimas Prabhu in Mayapur. Even now you can go. You can go and see in Mayapur. So Prabhu is almost 80 years old, quite sickly body. But still you will find him every day. He comes with his Bhagavatam book and he sits in the Bhagavatam class. Unless he has some service. Every day you will find him. In the class, in the classroom, not online. This online had some benefits during Corona time, but now it has become a nuisance. Literally a nuisance. I'm openly saying it. I'm not only saying it here, I'm saying it everywhere. And many people have realized it. There is absolutely no quality of the hearing online. Unless somebody is very sincere. So we have to come back to the traditional system if you want quality. When everyone is sitting here like this, there's not much scope to do something else. At least because of local lajja, at least for that sake one will restrict. That's what culture. So we were saying, Janamas Prabhu, even now, every day you can see. And not only he, as far as my knowledge goes, even one of the GBCs for Mayapur, who's staying in Mayapur, who's that? Hriday Chaitanya Prabhu. He also. You can see. So some devotee asked him, Prabhu, why most of the speakers for him are like kids in front of him? Most of the speakers. Practically everyone is junior to him, except for some Prabhupada disciples. But still he comes. So somebody asked him, why? You know the reason he gave? I think I told in some class. Yes. Because this is Srila Prabhupada's instruction. Finished. That is called faith in the Guru's instruction. Anybody can jump up and down saying Jai Prabhupada, Jai Gurudev. But this is called faith. Once instruction given, finished. For the rest of life, one is following. That is faith. Yasya deve para bhaktir yatha deve tadha guru tasyita katita yatha prakashanti matmana prakash. Then everything is revealed. Then all the imports of the Vedic literature are revealed just by having that faith in the Guru's instruction and following. So therefore, that's how one gets realizations, revelation. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada has written first canto, first chapter, second verse, purport, last paragraph. What Prabhupada has written? Process is simple, but the application is difficult. Process is very simple. Just sit in class. Very simple, right? What's the difficulty? Just sit in class. But still, it's very difficult. Why? The ego will say, hey, why should I sit? That junior devotee is giving class. Oh, I will not get any new points in this class. Don't sit. You have better things to do. That's how the mind and intelligence influenced by the material energy will trick one. That is the difficult part. Otherwise, very easy. It's very easy. Process is very simple. Just follow. That's all. But that is the biggest difficulty. Just follow is the biggest difficulty. I want to follow my own mind. That's the problem. So that is what is meant by jnane prayasam udapasya namanta eva. So if one simply becomes humble, one follows, hears Shrutigatam, Tanuvan, Manobi, hears, follows. Simple. If one does that, then what's the result? Ye prayaso. Ajita will become Jita. The unconquerable will become conquered. This is the process. So, therefore, this is what is required. Otherwise, one may memorize all the verses of Bhagavad Gita, all the verses of Bhagavatam, including all the Acharya's commentaries, everything one can do. But if one is not ready to be submissive to follow the instructions of Guru, the instructions of the Acharya, then everything will simply remain on the intellectual platform and will only make one proud, further causing degradation. But that knowledge will not lead to transformation. That is the reason why Balram killed who? Romash. He said, this fellow has so much knowledge, but adantasya, avinitasya, vrita panditamanina. अपने आप को बड़ा पंडित मान रहा है. मानने से क्या होगा? So the symptoms of the pandit have to be there. So these are all very important points. Otherwise, the Devatas, they know all this philosophy. But why they're not able to practice? What is the problem? Ishama. They themselves are admitting. They are admitting. Problem भी पता है, solution भी पता है, सब कुछ पता है. But still not able to apply. What is the cause? Attachment. The material attachment. So Prabhupada is quoting from Madhvacharya and is then concluding, we are all conditioned to various degrees, but we think we are gods. This is why we cannot understand who God is or see him face to face. This is the reason. So somebody, oh, we don't think we are God. Do we think we are God? If you ask any devotee, do you think you are God? Oh, come on. That is Mayavad. I'm not Mayavadi. But what does it mean to think one is God means? Huh? Yes, I'm the controller, I'm the enjoyer. To whatever degree it is present. To some degree it is present in all conditioned souls. But to the degree one gives it up, or at least is sincerely trying to give it up, then Krishna will be pleased. Otherwise, competition with God, then God will not reveal himself. Okay, okay, we'll take a 10 minutes break and continue. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. ये कहाँ से आ गया? हाँ? Okay. Okay, any questions so far? This is the mother of Vishwarup. Those details, I don't know. So it just mentioned that she is connected to the demons. हाँ बोलिए.
Bro, in that 9.30 you were telling Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is telling 3 conditions. The first is no one worships no one except me, and third is he has no other desire than my desire.
Correct.
So what is difference between first and third? And if he is worshipping no one except Lord, so then that is like he will follow what Lord wants.
Are the demigods worshippers of Supreme Lord or no?
Yes.
But what is their desire? There's a problem with the desire.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, they're praying to the Supreme Lord, but they have some other desire. So as we'll see in the later verses also, even when the Supreme Lord comes in front of them, they never ask for Vaikunta. No, please solve this small problem. You know, a small problem. So worship one can do, but then not so easy to get free from the material attachments. Then one has some other desires. Correct?
So just one clarification, like that Vishwarupa, although he is a Brahmana priest, so and it is mentioned that one head is he is drinking somarasa and another is wine. So that wine is
Divya wine. This is heavenly wine. I don't know. Somebody else had some? Narayan bol.
Online, because offline tutors don't come actually. So this is online came and they are using for best. What worse, then at least they are doing something. So what is your comment?
Something better than nothing.
Yes.
See, ultimately everything depends upon the sincerity of the person. So yes, everything can be used. Laptop can be used, mobile can be used, everything can be used. But if the person using is not sincere, they can also be misused.
Puji, one more Puji.
Hmm.
Devotees are chanting Puji online and they are opening some, they are grouping and they are chanting also. So this, I started also, but I stopped because I am not feeling, I cannot chant sincerely. That's why I stopped. So how this is good or what should do?
The same principle. The principle always remains the same. Depends on, is the knife a good or bad? Depends on the user. Same principle. For everything, the same principle. So everything can be appropriately used, provided one has the adhikar. Adhikar is required. Of course, a little bit deviating from the topic of discussion. But since you've asked a question, we will, and it's important. We have discussed this maybe in some previous class, I don't remember. We all know the story of Sanatana Goswami and touchstone, Parasmani, correct? Right. So where Sanatana Goswami kept the Parasmani? So didn't Sanatana Goswami know the principle of Yukta Vairagya, using everything in Krishna's service? He could have used the Parasmani to get some wealth and build his temples. Why he kept it in the dustbin? Bolo. Yes.
First Vairagya should be there, then we can have Yukta Vairagya.
You have to give a little bit of purport to your statement.
That much only Prajay.
This is code language. At least I am not so intelligent to understand code language. कुछ तो बोलो.
Maybe actually I'm not sure, but maybe Prajit, they like the Goswamis especially, they wanted to exemplify Vairagya. So later on, Acharyas like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, they showed the principle of Yukta Vairagya from Rupa Goswami.
Okay, good point. So, okay, so somebody can open First Canto, 8th chapter, text 27. Prabhupada gives the whole story, and at the end of the story, Prabhupada writes, Sanatana Goswami did this just to set an example for all of us. He wanted to teach that unless one is able to see everything as spiritual, one must always distinguish between spirit and matter. You got it? Read it. Huh? Oh, you got it, no?
Yes.
Read that part.
The
After,
touchstone.
after the whole story.
Yes. This specific example is given for the neophyte devotees just to
For the neophyte devotees.
convince them that material hankerings and spiritual advancement go ill together. Unless one is able to see everything as spiritual in relation with the Supreme Lord, one must always distinguish between spirit and matter. A spiritual master like Srila Sanatana Goswami, although personally able to see everything as spiritual, set this example for us only because we have no such spiritual vision.
Yes. That's the point. And therefore, when Srila Prabhupada describes Yukta Vairagya in the 14th chapter of Nectar of Devotion, there Srila Prabhupada writes, therefore one has to practice the principle of Yukta Vairagya under the guidance of the bona fide spiritual master. Then he will decide how much adhikar one has. Otherwise, I mean, there are unlimited examples for this. The very things that can be used in Krishna's service will become a cause of bondage if one does not have the adhikar. What is the adhikar? The Prabhupada is writing. Till one is able to see everything as spiritual in relation to the Supreme Lord. So if one is able to see everything as spiritual, no problem, right? Then one will use everything in Krishna's service, no problem. But what is our problem? We are not able to see everything as spiritual, or at least not fully able to see. Sometimes the realization gets covered. So then when the realization gets covered, then we will use the same thing for sense gratification. So there is no problem if one has that realization, or as rightly said, if one has the vairagya. That is true. So that same thing, same example what you're giving, that chanting. हाँ, तो हम वो मोबाइल के सामने बैठे हैं, वो सब लोग चैंटिंग कर रहे हैं मोबाइल के साथ, बीच में एक मैसेज आएगा, फिर क्या? हाँ, थोड़ा मैसेज देखने दो, फिर मैसेज देखेंगे, फिर और फिर मन और कहां नहीं जाएगा वो एक मैसेज के साथ, तो फिर चैंटिंग बाजू में. This is what happens. Some devotees have actually told me this. So therefore, unless one is very much controlled, difficult. So if one does not have that vairagya, if one does not have that realization, then better keep safe distance. ठीक है ना? Okay. So now, so the devtas are offering their prayers. ठीक है, आगे पढ़िए. 26, 27. Okay, let's recite. यो न सपत्ने वृषमर्द्यमानान् देवर्षितीर्यान् ऋषुनित्य एव कृतावतारस्तनुभिः स्वमायया तमेव देवं वयमात्मदेवतं. No, we missed something. कृत्वात्मसात् पाति युगे युगे च तमेव देवं वयमात्मदेवतं परं प्रधानं पुरुषं विश्वमन्यं व्रजाम सर्वे शरणं शरण्यं स्वानां सनोधस्यतिशं महात्मा.
By his inconceivable internal potency, the Supreme Personality of Godhead expands into various transcendental bodies as Vamandev, the incarnation of strength among the demigods, Parsuram, the incarnation among saints, Narsimhadev and Varaha, incarnation among animals, and Matsya and Kurma, incarnations among aquatics. He accepts various transcendental bodies among all types of living entities, and among human beings he especially appears as Lord Krishna and Lord Ram. By his causeless mercy, he protects the demigods who are always harassed by the demons. He is the supreme worshipable deity of all living entities. He is the supreme cause, represented as the male and female creative energies. Although different from this universe, he exists in his universal form Virat Rupa. In our fearful condition, let us take shelter of him, for we are sure that the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Soul, will give us his protection.
So, This is quite similar to today morning's Bhagavatam verse. Prahlad Maharaj, same thing he also says. So anyway, so he comes in his various incarnations, and when does he come? By his causeless mercy to protect the demigods, harassed by the demons, Paritrana Sadhunam Vinasha Dushkritam. So therefore, he exists in his universal form. So therefore, understanding the greatness of the Supreme Lord, let us take shelter. Vrajam sarve sharanam sharanyam. Swanam sanodasyati. Okay. So, in this purport, this is a bit long. In this verse, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu is ascertained to be the original cause of creation. Shuddha Swami in his commentary, Bhavartha Deepika, replies to the idea that Prakriti and Purusha are the causes of the cosmic manifestation. As stated in Param Pradhanam Purusham Vishwam Anyam is the supreme cause represented as male and female creative energies. Who are these male and female creative energies? Huh? Yes, it's Shiva and Parvati, male and female creative energies. Although different from this universe, he exists in his universal form. Without truth, the word Prakriti, which is used to indicate the source of generation, refers to the material energy of the Supreme Lord, and the word Purusha refers to the living entities, who are the superior energy of the Lord. Both the Prakriti and Purusha ultimately enter the Supreme Lord. It's in Bhagavad Gita. Okay. There are different energies of the Supreme Lord. It's quoting from Naradiya Puran. Avikaro api parama prakritistu vikarini anu pravishya govinda prakritis shabidiyate. Okay. Sarvasya. Of course, this is not. Okay. Okay, we'll proceed. No problem. This is basic philosophy. So in this way, they offered all these prayers to the Supreme Lord. Then what happens next? Okay, read the translation.
Sri Sukdev Goswami said, "My dear king, when all the demigods offered him their prayers, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Hari, carrying his weapons, the conch shell, disc, and club, appeared first within their hearts and then before them."
Yes, so the Supreme Lord with Shankha Chakra Gada Padma, he appeared before these devatas first in their hearts. Okay, next.
Surrounding and serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana, was 16 personal attendants, decorated with ornaments and appearing exactly like him, but without the mark of Srivatsa and the Kaustuba jewel. O king, when all the demigods saw the Supreme Lord in that posture, smiling with eyes like the petals of lotuses grown in autumn, they were overwhelmed with happiness and immediately fell down like rods, offering dandavats. Then they slowly rose and pleased the Lord by offering him prayers.
Okay, so now the Lord, so before they offered prayers to please the Lord, then the Lord being pleased, he appeared before them. And now the Lord actually appeared, and now once again they're offering prayers. Shri Deva Uchu Namaste Yajna Viryaya Vayase Utate Namaha Namaste Yasta Chakraya Nama Supuruhutaye.
The demigod said, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, you are competent to give the results of sacrifice, and you are also the time factor that destroys all such results in due course. You are the one who releases the chakra to kill the demons. O Lord, who possesses many varieties of names, we offer our respectful obeisances unto you.
Okay, so in this way they're glorifying the Supreme Lord. Next. Yatte gatinam tishnam ishitu paramam padam narvachino visargasya dhatar veditum arhati.
O Supreme Controller, you control the three destination. promotion to heavenly planets, birth as a human being, and condemnation in hell. Yet your supreme abode is Vaikuntha Dham. Since we appeared after you created this cosmic manifestation, your activities are impossible for us to understand. We therefore have nothing to offer you but our humble obeisances.
So, just like in Bhagavad Gita 10 chapter 2nd verse, what does the Lord say? Na te vidu suragana na maharshaya. Yeah, yeah. Na pravam maharshaya. So he's saying, yes, na te vidu suragana. Suragana means the devatas. Devatas also cannot understand me. Even the great rishis cannot understand. So somebody may say that, okay, devatas cannot understand because they have enjoying mentality. But why even the great rishis cannot understand? Hmm? They're using the intelligence. Okay, so the basic answer is because everyone is born after the Supreme Lord. So Vishnu Chakradhar gives example that just like son cannot know about the birth of the father unless father tells him. So that's the same thing they're saying here. So we are all born after you, therefore unless you reveal, we cannot understand. So that is the reason. So therefore here also they're saying na arvachna visargasya data veditum arati. So we have appeared after you. Arvachina. So therefore we cannot understand. As Prabhupada writes, an inexperienced man generally does not know what to beg from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Everyone is under the jurisdiction of the created material world, and no one knows what benediction to ask when praying to the Supreme Lord. People generally pray to be promoted to the heavenly planets because they have no information of Vaikuntha Loka. Quoting a verse from Madhvacharya. Different planetary systems, Devalok, Pitrilok, and Niraya, hellish planets. When one transcends these various planetary systems, enters Vaikuntha Lok, he achieves the ultimate resort of the Vaishnavas. Vaishnavas have nothing to do with other planetary systems. Okay, 33. Okay, 33 is a long verse. We'll just read the translation.
O Supreme Personality of Godhead, O Narayana, O Vasudev, original person, O most exalted person, supreme experience, welfare personified, O supreme benediction, supremely merciful and changeless, O support of cosmic manifestation, sole proprietor of all planetary systems, master of everything and husband of bodies of fortune. Your lordship is realized by the topmost sannyasis who wander about the world to preach Krishna consciousness, fully absorbed in samadhi through bhakti yoga. Because their mind are concentrated upon you, they can receive the conception of your personality in their fully purified hearts. When the darkness in the hearts is completely eradicated and you are revealed to them, the transcendental bliss they enjoy is the transcendental form of your lordship. No one but such a person can realize you. Therefore, we simply offer you our respectful obeisances.
Yes. So first of all, they are addressing him with various names, various qualities. O Namaste Stu, Bhagavan, Narayan, Vasudev, Adi Purush, Mahapurush, Mahanubhava, Parama Mangala, Parama Kalyana, Parama Karunika. So all these are the qualities of the Supreme Lord. Kevala, Jagat Adhara, Loka Eknatha, Lakshmi Natha. So all these are various qualities to glorify the Supreme Lord. So who can realize the Supreme Lord with all these qualities? Paramhamsa Parivrajake. Paramhamsa Parivrajake. By the topmost sannyasis wandering all over the world. So they can realize the Supreme Lord with all these qualities. Why? Atma Yoga Samadhina. They are in Samadhi. They're absorbed in Bhakti. And by that they become purified, Paribhavita. So therefore, they can realize the Supreme Lord. And then by realizing the Supreme Lord, Sukha Anubhava, they are able to perceive, experience transcendental happiness. So Prabhupada is talking about various levels of realization. Brahman, Paramatma, then three Vishnus, Chaturvyuha. And above, then there is Vaikuntha Narayan. Above realization of Narayan is realization of Baladev. And above that is realization of Krishna. All these realizations are possible when one engages fully in devotional service. The covered core of one's heart is then completely open to receiving an understanding of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his various forms. Okay, 34. For a translation.
O Lord, you need no support, and although you have no material body, you do not need cooperation from us. Since you are the cause of the cosmic manifestation and you supply its material ingredients without being transformed, you create, maintain, and annihilate this cosmic manifestation by yourself. Nevertheless, although you appear engaged in material activity, you are transcendental to all material qualities. Consequently, these transcendental activities of yours are extremely difficult to understand.
So here they're saying, Durva Bodha, very difficult to understand. Very difficult to understand all your activities, pastimes. Vihara Yoga means engagement in the pastimes of material creation, maintenance, annihilation. So all this is very difficult to understand. So they're saying that the Supreme Lord does all this without himself being transformed. Avikriyamanena, without being transformed. So he's never transformed, but all the transformations that are taking place are due to what? Due to what? So many transformations are taking place, right? All around. They're what? This material world is created, maintained, annihilated. All this is happening by what? Yes, influence of time or is different energies. So Prabhupada writes, he is quoting Vrindavanam Parityajya Padam Ekam Na Gachati. Krishna never goes even a step from Vrindavan. Nevertheless, although Krishna is situated in his own abode, Golok Vrindavan, he is simultaneously all pervading and is therefore present everywhere. This is very difficult for a conditioned soul to understand. But devotees can understand how Krishna, without undergoing any changes, can simultaneously be in his abode and be all pervasive. Golokanamni nijadamni talecha tasya Devi Mahesha Haridam Suteshu Teshu Te Te Prabhava Nijaja. आगे क्या? Govindamadi Purusham Tamam. So the Supreme Lord remains in his abode, Golok Vrindavan, and yet he is controlling and maintaining everything. So therefore, as Prabhupada is saying, according to the Mayavad philosophy, the Supreme Truth being all pervasive does not need a transcendental form. The Mayavadis suppose that since his form is distributed everywhere, he has no form. So this is Mayavad understanding. So Lord is present everywhere. So therefore, how can he be present in one place and have a form? So what is the analogy they give? Sun and light. Sky and pot क्या है? हाँ बोलो. Correct. So the analogy which they use is, if you take a paper, उसको फाड़ दो और पीस को फेंक दो, ओरिजिनल पेपर कहाँ पर है? कहाँ पर है? नहीं है. So similarly, since Supreme Lord is manifested everywhere, so therefore he cannot have one form, one place, he is everywhere. How do you refute it? Okay, your point is correct. But how do we refute the paper analogy? Correct. So, an analogy holds true when there are maximum number of similarities. An analogy is considered a good analogy when there are maximum number of similarities between the two things. But here, the supreme absolute truth is being compared to what? Paper. Very poor analogy. क्या similarity है? Useless analogy. So therefore, does not hold true. And then Prabhupada gives this example. So he says, in this world, even an ordinary person, he sits in one place and manages so many companies and so many branches. Correct? So if an ordinary person of this world can do that, why the Supreme Lord cannot do? So therefore, verse in Bhagavad Gita, 9th chapter, 4th verse, क्या है? मया तदमिदं सर्वं जगद अव्यक्त मूर्तिना मत्स्थानि सर्वभूतानि न चामे तेषु अवस्थिता. So Krishna is saying, I am spread all over the universe in my unmanifested form, avyakta murtina. What is that unmanifested form? Okay. Yes, it's different energies. Of course, if you say avyakta murtina form, then it refers to the Virat Roop. But then essentially, Krishna has distributed all of the universe in the form of his different energies. And so therefore, in that purport, Srila Prabhupada gives the example of the king. Same example. It could be king or it could be some owner of a company. He's sitting in one place, but yet he's managing everything. So if an ordinary person can do that, why Supreme Lord cannot do? And so therefore, the philosophy of the Mayavadis is Vivartavad. And the philosophy of the Vaishnavas is Shakti Parinamvad. So Vivartavad means what? Yes. Vivarta means the absolute truth himself gets transformed into everything. Therefore, everything is Brahman. Sarvam kalu idam Brahma. So Brahman only has become transformed into all this manifestation. This is Vivartavad. These are some things we must know, basic philosophy. At least towards the end of Bhakti Vaibhav. Prabhupada explains all this in Chaitanya Charitamrita, discussions with Savam Bhattacharya and Prakashan Saraswati. So now to refute that, Srila Prabhupada gives similar example, but Srila Prabhupada there, he gives this example that just like there is one owner of factories, so now he wants to start new factory. So what he does? If somebody wants to start new factory, what he'll do? बोलो ना. He'll order whom? So he'll order some of his people, He has got servants, secretaries, so many people he has got. So he'll order someone, okay, go and start a branch of this factory. And then he will supply the manpower, he will supply the financial power, he'll supply the money, he'll supply everything. And then those people will build the new factory. Then what happens to this original man, the owner? What happens to him? He becomes transformed? कुछ होता है क्या उसको? पतला मोटा कुछ होगा? He'll remain as it is, no? Everything is being done by his energies. This is the example Prabhupada is giving. So, therefore, the Vivartavad is useless. It has no meaning. But that is what the so what is the problem with the Mayavadis? The problem with the Mayavadis, as Prabhupada writes in his purports, is that they superimpose their own understanding on the Supreme Lord. That is the problem. So they think, see, I cannot be in two places at the same time, correct? I can be in only in one place at one time. So if I cannot do it, then how Supreme Lord can do? That is the problem. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada often quoted Jiva Goswami saying that in order to get some understanding of the Supreme Lord, the first thing one has to accept is Achintya Shakti. That's the first thing one has to accept. So once one accepts that, then everything becomes clear. If one doesn't accept that, then everything is a problem. So therefore, the Vaishnava understanding is Shakti Parinamvad. So the Lord remains as it is in a supreme planet, but he is doing everything in this world by his different Shaktis, and the Shaktis, they get transformed. So this is what the Devatas are saying over here. Prabhupada concludes the purport by saying the Lord keeps his transcendental form, and at the same time he extends everywhere in every nook and corner of the material creation. But then all this is what? Durvabodha. Very difficult to understand. Why? Because all this cannot be understood simply by logic. One cannot apply material logic to understand the Supreme Lord. Pantastu koti shatavatsara sampragamyo vayo rathapi manaso munipungavaanam sopyasti yat prapadasamnya vichintya tattve govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Okay, so if one tries to use one's mind and logic, one can go on speculating. Now, even if one travels in a plane running in the speed at the speed of minds, still one will not understand. So therefore, one has to accept the fact that I cannot understand. One has to accept the inconceivable nature of the Supreme. Okay, 35. माइक थोड़ा उस साइड भी
These are our enquiries. The ordinary conditioned soul is subject to the material laws, and he thus receives the fruits of his actions. Does your lordship, like an ordinary human being, exist within this material world in a body produced by material modes? Do you enjoy or suffer the good or bad results of actions under the influence of time, past work, and so forth? Or, on the contrary, are you present here only as a neutral witness who is self-sufficient, free from all material desires, and always full of spiritual potency? We certainly cannot understand your actual position.
So they're asking different questions. So they're asking, so are you like an ordinary human being? Is your body made up of the three modes? Do you get the reactions to good and bad activities? So, of course, they may know all this, but they're simply wanting to clarify the position of the Supreme Lord. Of course, it's for everyone's benefit. So therefore, they're asking these various things. So Srila Prabhupada is explaining that how the Lord is apapa with them. He is never contaminated by reactions of so-called sinful activities. When Krishna was present on this earth, he killed many inimical non-devotees, but they all received sarupya. In other words, they returned to their original spiritual bodies. One who does not know the Lord's position says that God is unkind to him, but merciful to others. But no, he's samam sarvabhutesh. So anyway, this is the nature of the Supreme. Okay, 36.
O Supreme Personality of Godhead, all contradictions can be reconciled in you. O Lord, since you are the Supreme Person, the reservoir of unlimited spiritual qualities, the Supreme Controller, your unlimited glories are inconceivable to the conditioned souls. Many modern theologians argue about right and wrong without knowing what is actually right. Their arguments are always false and their judgments inclusive. So, their arguments, many modern theologians
Their
argue
arguments are always false, and their
their
judgments
judgments inconclusive because they have no authorized evidence with which to gain knowledge of you, because their minds are agitated by scriptures containing false conclusions. They are unable to understand the truth concerning you. Furthermore, because of polluted eagerness to arrive at the right conclusion, their theories are incapable of revealing you, who are transcendental to their material conceptions. You are one without a second, and therefore, in you, contradictions like doing and not doing, happiness and distress are not contradictory. Your potency is so great that it can do and undo anything as you like. With the help of that potency, what is impossible for you? Since there is no duality in your constitutional position, you can do everything by the influence of your energy.
So basically, they're saying that as the same theme is continuing, that it's not possible to understand the Supreme Lord by one's logic. So therefore, they're saying the theologians, they may give so many arguments, but all of them will be inconclusive because they have no authorized evidence how to gain the knowledge. And so therefore, they're unable to understand. And they may think that there are so many contradictions. There are so many different contradictions. So therefore, they're saying that but your potency is so great that it can do and undo anything as you like. So as we are discussing, the Lord has inconceivable potencies, and so therefore for him anything and everything is possible. So therefore that is the one thing we have to accept. Therefore Prabhupada writes, the Supreme Personality of Godhead being self-sufficient is full of transcendental bliss, Atmaram. He enjoys bliss in two ways. When he appears happy and when he appears distressed. That's a contradiction, right? He enjoys bliss in two ways, when he appears happy and when he appears distressed. When one is distressed, how can there be bliss? Correct? When one is in distress, how can it be a cause of bliss? वो ठीक है, he is Atmaram. But when he is distressed, how it is a cause of bliss? So how do you explain that? What is the basic difference in material world and spiritual world? Yes. Where there's duality? Material world. In spiritual world, there's no duality. If you say there is duality, then it is material. Spiritual world means no duality. In spiritual world is called Vaikuntha. That means what? No kunta, no distress. That means even so-called distress is Ananda. There is only Ananda, no duality. So somebody may say, oh, Lord Ramchandra, he was in so much distress. when Mother Sita was kidnapped, he was in distress, correct? Or the gopis were in so much of distress when Krishna went away from Vrindavan. How do you explain? Bolo? So separation. So what happens? So so how do you explain it? फिर से बोलो. That's a good point. So in separation, one is remembering Krishna more intensely than in union. And remembrance of Krishna is always a cause of transcendental bliss. So even though apparently it appears as if the gopis are in so much of separation, they are lamenting, they are crying. Srimati Radharani is almost like a crazy person talking with the bumblebee. But that is the highest manifestation of transcendental happiness. Viraha Prem, that is the topmost prem that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come to teach us. Love in separation, Viraha Prem. This is even more intense than when the person is actually present. But because it is in relation to Krishna, it is a cause of happiness, not distress. But very difficult to understand. Because we have no experience. We only have experience of viraha of this material world. So in this material world, any type of viraha is cause of distress. So I think so Gaurang Prabhu gave the example of the viraha from the mobile, I think, right? In his class. Correct? You all were not there for the class, huh? So he was giving that example, right? That is at best what we can understand about viraha. The viraha from the mobile. So, but then this viraha is the cause of happiness because it is in relationship to Krishna. So that's what is being explained. So he enjoys bliss in two ways. In fact, to enjoy that separation, Lord came as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. To enjoy those feelings of separation of Srimati Radharani. So it is enjoyment. So therefore Prabhupada is saying, distinctions and contradictions are impossible in him because only from him have they emanated. So all distinctions and contradictions have emanated from the Supreme Lord, so therefore he himself cannot have them. Happiness and distress, the Lord is giving all the jivas happiness and distress through his material energy. So if happiness and distress are caused by the material energy, can the Lord be influenced by the material energy to cause happiness and distress? No. That is what Prabhupada says. Distinctions and contradictions are impossible in him because only from him have they emanated. The Supreme Personality of God is reservoir of all knowledge, all potency, all strength, opulence, and influence. There is no limit to his powers. Since he is full in all transcendental attributes, nothing abominable from the material world can exist in him. He is transcendental and spiritual, and therefore conceptions of material happiness and distress do not apply to him. We should not be astonished to find contradictions in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Actually, there are no contradictions. Here itself are two contradictory statements. So Prabhupada is saying we should not be astonished to find contradictions, and then immediately saying actually there are no contradictions. So this itself is contradiction. But then how do you explain that? That is the meaning of his being supreme. That is the only answer. Yes, that is what is meant by achintya. So see, if we can understand everything about the Supreme Lord, then what is the difference between Supreme Lord and us? Correct? If we can understand everything about the Supreme Lord, what is the difference? Kuch to farak hona chahiye na? So we have to accept that there are going to be many things which we cannot understand. So we should not expect to understand everything about the Supreme. If we think I will understand everything about सब शास्त्र पढ़ूंगा, ये पढ़ूंगा, वो पढ़ूंगा, then I will understand everything about the Supreme. अरे संभव ही नहीं है. Because the Jiva is always Anu and the Supreme Lord is always Vibhu. Infinitesimal and infinite. So in that connection, Srila Prabhupada wrote that beautiful statement. Somebody open. Bhagavad Gita 11 chapter 4th verse. Only by the grace of the infinite. You got that? Yes, read that. Yes. Say it once again. If the infinite reveals himself, then it is possible to understand the nature of the infinite by the grace of the infinite. And before that, Prabhupada is explaining how the Jiva is always infinitesimal, Anu. So even if the infinite reveals himself, it is possible to understand only by the grace of the infinite. Otherwise, it is not possible. Therefore, even Brahmaji is bewildered. Correct? Therefore, the whole Brahma Viman Leela took place. He is bewildered. Who's this covered boy? Not so easy to understand. So it's all possible only by the grace of the infinite. Therefore, the whole practices of Krishna consciousness are only to attract that grace. If we try to get into achievers mode, we will be frustrated. So therefore, some people, that's what they do, right? Some people think, अरे ISKCON में रहेंगे क्या, वो जीवन भर साधना भक्ति करते रहेंगे, कुछ नहीं मिलने वाला है. So we'll go somewhere else. And then I will read the Shastras, I will chant the holy names throughout the day. I'll find some Baba, some mantra, and I will achieve the Supreme. So this is what? This is trying to understand the Supreme by one's own efforts. One is 100% bound to be frustrated. Therefore, one has to understand all these things very clearly. इसलिए लोग जाते हैं ना, इसलिए लोग जाते हैं. They think by my efforts I will understand. It's just not possible. Therefore, our process is the path of bhakti is the path of grace. We should always remember this. Here, whatever we are doing, so we are studying Shastra, not that I will understand the Supreme. No. Why we are studying the Shastra? Why we are studying these books? Yes, whose instruction? Yes, the Srila Prabhupada's instruction. Therefore, only to please him and attract his mercy we are studying. Who started these courses? Srila Prabhupada started. We are simply trying to follow his instruction, that's all. So, by all our activities, we are simply trying to attract grace. That is all. Not that I will achieve something. No. So anyway, yesterday, what was the special occasion yesterday? Yes. Prabhupada's arrival in USA. On what date? Yes, New York Prabhupada arrived on September 19th, 1965. On September 17th, he arrived at Boston. And on September 18th, he wrote that poem, Markine Bhagavad Dharma. And the entire poem, what is the main theme? What is the main theme? Praying for grace. That is basically the entire poem. He is thinking himself totally unqualified and therefore he is praying for grace. That is the theme of the entire poem. So when one thinks oneself unqualified, then he will beg for grace, for mercy. But if one thinks I am qualified, then why one will beg for mercy? Only somebody who is poor, then he will beg, na? अगर कोई सोचता मैं अमीर हूं तो फिर वो भिक्षा क्यों मांगेगा? कब मांगता है? जब व्यक्ति को पता है कि मैं भिक्षुक हूं, गरीब हूं, then he will beg. So that is what we have to learn from the acharyas. So then because he is in that humble mood of begging, then so much mercy of the Supreme Lord, then what happened? The Hare Krishna explosion. Who did the explosion? Krishna did the explosion. But Prabhupada became the instrument. Why? Because he wrote in that poem, I have no words. He wrote, right? I have no words. You give me the words. I am simply puppet. Nachao, nachao, nachao. So then Krishna did everything. But if one thinks, no, I will do by my own, I will speak like this, I will do like this, I'll manipulate people, I'll do this, and I will achieve success. You can do, whole tamasha you can do. But unless Krishna sanctions, nothing is going to happen. So, this point we have to be very clear. We are simply here to try to attract grace by our very humble, insignificant efforts. That is what Prabhupada is teaching through that poem. And the moment one becomes proud, thinking, I am the doer, I will achieve success, then Krishna will show who is the doer. 1 second, finished. Everything finished. So, this is very important to understand. Others will do funny things, thinking I am the doer. I'll do by my own efforts. And so many people are trying all sorts of funny things. Going here, going there, all sorts of things they're doing. Because they don't understand the Siddhanta. In the purport to 7.3, what is 7th chapter, 3rd verse? Yes, Manusha Nam Sahasreshu, Kashyadati. There Prabhupada is writing. You see, I think so the 3rd paragraph of the purport, Prabhupada is writing, even the pure devotees can understand only something of the Supreme Lord. Correct? Say that. Yes. Even the pure devotees can only know something of the transcendental, inconceivable qualities. The inconceivable, then how can one know everything? It is not possible only. So, that is what is being said here. So, therefore, Prabhupada is saying, actually there are no contradictions. So even if there are some contradictions, now the same thing applies to apparent contradictions amongst the Acharya's writings. Correct? Sometimes we find this. Sometimes we find Prabhupada has written something, some previous Acharya may have written something, and one is wondering who is correct, who is wrong. Then somebody says, no, previous acharyas are correct, Prabhupada is wrong, or Prabhupada is correct, somebody else is wrong. How can one make statements like that? So can an acharya be wrong? The bona fide acharyas? Can anyone be wrong? No. So then why there are contradictions? Yes, see, so therefore, we have to understand that the Supreme Lord is unlimited and there can be unlimited realizations of the Supreme Absolute. So different acharyas may have different realizations of the Absolute Truth and they may present different realizations, but they are all correct. One cannot say that one is right and another is wrong. They are all correct. Because we have to understand the Supreme Lord is unlimited and inconceivable. So we should not limit the Supreme Lord. Aisa hi hona chahiye. No. So one Acharya may see from one angle, another Acharya may see from another angle. And they are all correct. So therefore, there are no contradictions in the Absolute Truth. Therefore, Prabhupada is saying, actually, there are no contradictions. So this is the same answer Srila Prabhupada gave when one disciple actually asked Srila Prabhupada. Sometimes we find contradictions amongst the acharyas. How do we understand? Prabhupada said the same statement. There are no contradictions amongst the acharyas. Finished. But this is how we understand. So even if there are some apparent contradictions, they're all perfect. If I cannot understand, that's my problem, not their problem. It's inconceivable. So because he is all powerful, this is an important statement. Because he is all powerful, he is not subject to the conditioned soul's arguments regarding his existence or non-existence. So he is not subject to our arguments. So just because I am arguing, is this correct, is this wrong, doesn't mean that he is subject to those arguments or the opinions of the conditioned souls. He is pleased to protect his devotees by killing their enemies. He enjoys both the killing and the protecting. So for him, everything is blissful. Even when he's killing, he's smiling. So that is the Supreme Lord. So such freedom from duality applies not only to the Lord, but also to his devotees. We were discussing this. In Vrindavan, the damsels of Vrajbhumi enjoy transcendental bliss in the company of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, and they feel the same transcendental bliss in separation when Krishna and Balram leave Vrindavan for Mathura. There is no question of material pains or pleasures for either the Supreme Personality of Godhead or his pure devotees, although they are sometimes superficially said to be distressed or happy. One who is Atmaram is blissful in both ways. But non-devotees cannot understand the contradictions present in the Supreme Lord or his devotees. So therefore, what is required? Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavanyashasmi tatvatah. The transcendental pastimes can be understood through devotional service. To non-devotees, they are inconceivable. Achantya khalu ye bhava na tam starkena yojayet. The Supreme Lord and his form, name, pastimes, and paraphernalia are inconceivable to non-devotees, and one should not try to understand such realities simply by logical arguments. They will not bring one to the right conclusion about the absolute truth. So therefore, anything which is inconceivable, there's no point in argument. So the same thing regarding how and when and why the jiva came to the material world. It is beyond our understanding because it is anadi. When the jiva came here, anadi. Nobody knows. So therefore, we cannot understand. Therefore, Prabhupada writes very clearly, 13th chapter, 20th verse. It really does not matter. And then what he says? The Supreme Lord knows everything. The Supreme Lord knows. You want to find out how the jiva came, when the jiva came? You go back to the spiritual world and ask Krishna. Very simple. Otherwise, till then, no arguments. It is not within our conception. So it's useless arguing on these things. So something which we cannot understand, useless arguing. And then people argue and fight and some leave ISKCON and whatnot has happened. What have they achieved? Nothing. So therefore, the first principle for progress in devotional service is humility. So one has to humbly accept that I cannot understand. So when one humbly accepts I cannot understand, then spiritual life is very blissful. Then chant, dance, and be happy, eating prasadam. And when Krishna decides to reveal, he will reveal. No problem. But when somebody thinks, no, I have to understand. If I don't understand, I will not practice. Then big problem. Be humble, Baba. You cannot understand. Accept. Any questions? But what can be understood, we should try to understand. Don't put everything in the inconceivable box. नहीं तो फिर बोलेंगे अरे ठीक है कुछ समझ में नहीं आएगा ठीक है पढ़ो ही मत फिर. What has been presented by the acharyas and what can be understood, we should definitely try to understand. That is use of intelligence in Krishna service, so that intelligence can be purified. So always problem in the material world is one tends to go to extremes. Always problem. Okay, 37.
A rope causes fear for a bewildered person who consider it a snake, but not for a person with proper intelligence who know it to be only a rope. Similarly, you, as the super soul in everyone's heart, inspire fear or fearlessness according to one's intelligence, but in you there is no duality.
So they give the example of the rope and the snake. So we know this example of the rope and the snake. So who thinks the rope to be a snake? Yes. Somebody who's in darkness, ignorance, then he thinks the rope to be a snake. But somebody who's in knowledge, he understands. But who gives the knowledge? Who gives knowledge? Who gives knowledge? Who gives knowledge? Bhagavad Gita. Matta smritir jnanam apohanam. Who gives? Super soul gives. Super soul has to give the knowledge. So then when super soul gives the knowledge, then there is no ignorance. When there is no ignorance, then there is no fear. Because then one can clearly distinguish between what is rope and what is snake. Then there is no cause of ignorance or fear. But for that, how the Lord gives intelligence, the principle is ye yatha mam prapadyante tam sataiva bhajamyaham. And then Prabhupada is saying, the Supreme Personality of God is the reservoir of everything, including all knowledge, all truth, and all contradictions. He is the reservoir of everything. He is the source of everything. The example cited here is very appropriate. A rope is one truth, but some mistake it for a snake, whereas others know it to be a rope. Similarly, devotees who know the Supreme Personality of Godhead do not see contradictions in him, but non-devotees regard him as the snake-like source of all fear. This is the example of Lord Narasimhadev. Prahlad Maharaj saw the Lord as the supreme solace, whereas his father, a demon, saw him as ultimate death. And then same verse he's quoting, Bhayam dvitiya biniveshada syat. Fear results from being absorbed in duality. When one has the knowledge of duality, one knows both fear and bliss. The same Supreme Lord is source of bliss to devotees and fear to non-devotees who have a poor fund of knowledge. God is one, but people understand the absolute truth from different angles of vision. Okay, this is the point. God is one, but people understand the absolute truth from different angles of vision. So therefore, and how many angles of vision are there? Unlimited. And therefore, the different acharyas can give different understandings of the absolute truth. There's absolutely nothing wrong. The unintelligent see contradictions in him, but sober devotees find no contradictions. But to become sober devotee, one requires intelligence from the Supreme Lord. Okay, they're continuing the same theme in the next verse. Continue.
With deliberation, one will see that the Supreme Soul, although manifested in different ways, is actually the basic principle of everything. The total material energy is the cause of the material manifestation, but the material energy is caused by him. Therefore, he is the cause of all causes, the manifester of intelligence and the senses. He is perceived as the super soul of everything. Without him, everything would be dead. You, as that super soul, the supreme controller, are the only one remaining.
So here they're saying that how ultimately the Supreme Lord is the cause of all causes. So the material energy which is causing the material creation is also caused by him. Maya Dyakshena Prakriti Suyate Sa Characharam. So therefore, and the Supreme Lord always remains. First verse of the Chatushloki Bhagavat. What is that? Yes. Aham eva sam eva agre. He's always present. Prabhupada writes, the word sarva vastuni vastu swarupa indicate that the Supreme Lord is the active principle of everything. He's quoting Andantarastha Paramanu Chayantarastham. So he's everywhere. So because the Lord is the super soul, he is the active principle of every living entity and even the atoms. He is the actual reality. According to various stages of intelligence, one realizes the presence of the Supreme in everything through the manifestations of his energy. The entire world is permeated by the three gunas, and one can understand his presence according to one's modes of material nature. That's important. The entire world is permeated by three gunas, and one can understand his presence according to one's modes of material nature. So if you want to understand Supreme Lord, at least one should come to which mode? Sattva. So more the Sattva, one will have a better understanding. More Rajas and Tamas, more understanding will be covered. So therefore we need to attempt to come to Sattva, by which we can get at least some understanding of the Supreme. Otherwise, things become even more difficult. Next.
Therefore, O killer of the Madhu demon, incessant transcendental bliss flows in the minds of those who have even once tasted but a drop of the nectar from the ocean of your glories. Such exalted devotees forget the tiny reflection of so-called material happiness produced from the material senses of sight and sound. Free from all desires, such devotees are the real friends of all living entities. Offering their minds unto you and enjoying transcendental bliss, they are expert in achieving the real goal of life. O Lord, you are the soul and dear friend of such devotees who never need return to this material world. How could they give up engagement in your devotional service?
Yes, so therefore the Devatas are praying that if one tastes even a drop of the nectar from the ocean of your glories, ataha vava tava mahima amrita rasa samudra, amrita rasa samudra viprusha. So from that samudra, what is required? One drop. And how many times one needs to taste a drop? Sakrit. Only once. Only once, if one tastes a drop from that samudra, the ocean of the glories of the Supreme Lord, then what will happen? Then swa manasi nishaddhamana anavarata sukhena. So then there'll be an unlimited flow of transcendental bliss. That is what he will experience. And then if he experiences that, then what will be the result? Vismarita, drishta, shruta, vishaya sukha. Then all this vishaya sukha will be forgotten, vismrita. So one needs to taste at least a drop of that unlimited glories of the Supreme Lord. And then if one actually tastes that, then one will be very eager to distribute it to others, because one has tasted. If one gets something very valuable, then one wants to share it with others. So when one tastes the actual bliss of Krishna consciousness, then naturally one will want to distribute it to others. So therefore, the important point is that one needs to taste this at least one drop once. If one gets that taste, then what will happen? All the vishaya sukh one will immediately forget. So now the next question arises, so how to taste that drop? At least once. How to taste? Bolo. How to taste the drop? That's the whole solution to all problems, right? If you taste that one drop in the samudra, one drop one has to taste. What is the difficulty? When there is samudra, what is the difficulty in getting one drop? Samudra is there, no? Huh? How to taste? I don't know, maybe all of you have tasted already. I don't know. Laulyam. Okay, that's a good solution. Laulyam ekalam mulyam. So how to develop the Lauli? Okay, that's a good point. Serving the great souls because they have tasted. So by their grace, we can also taste. That's correct. Any other suggestions? Okay, so same point, serving the great souls, following instructions. That is the way to serve. We serve by following instructions. That's definitely correct. I think so. We discussed this in one of our classes. We were discussing from Madhuri Kadamani in one of the classes, right? So in 9 stages of devotional service, what comes before Ruchi? Nishtha. Nishtha means? Huh? Hey, Nishtha. Firm faith is correct, but what is the actual translation? Nishtha. Steadiness. Steadiness. This is what Krishna wants to see. He wants to see steadiness. So when Krishna sees that somebody is steadily performing devotional service every day, every month, every year. So this is the symptom of sattva. So on the symptom of sattva, one at least practices as a matter of duty. Duty means whether I like it or not. It is not based on liking and disliking. Liking and disliking is a symptom of Rajogun. In Rajogun, then everything is based on liking and disliking. Today I will attend class because I like it today. Today I will do this service because I like. And tomorrow I don't like, then chhod do. This is what? Rajogun. Rajogun means everything is based on I. मुझे क्या अच्छा लगता है, मुझे क्या अच्छा नहीं लगता. So everything is based on I. That's a symptom of Rajogun. One is self-centered. Krishna is explaining Bhagavad Gita, all these things. And Sattvagun means duty. Kartavya. That is symptom of Sattva. That means whether I like it or not, still one continues. Then when Krishna sees this steadiness, then he awards, yes, the drop of nectar, ruchi. Yes, correct. Adarat, anudinam, anudinam, khalu vachishta. Correct. So that is what Krishna wants to see. Even in the material world, we find the same mentality, right? When an employer is pleased, when the employee is steadily rendering service, neither if somebody is coming short time, he leaves. No employer likes that. Same principle. So that is what is required. And therefore, we find in the lives of all the acharyas, we find this. So Srila Prabhupada, Shrutikiti Prabhu says, his schedule never changed. Every day the same. Recently we celebrated appearance day of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, right? Same thing. Every day, same schedule. This is steadiness. So then when one maintains that, Krishna is pleased. Of course, all of us definitely have tasted something, maybe a fraction of that drop. That's why we're still continuing. So, little bit more, if you want to taste, we have to still continue with dhairya. Then we can expect to taste something more. So, purport, all the non-devotees, because of the meager knowledge and speculative habits, cannot understand the real nature of the Lord. A devotee who has once tasted the nectar from the Lord's lotus feet can realize what transcendental pleasure there is in the Lord's devotional service. A devotee knows that simply by rendering service to the Lord, he serves everyone. Therefore, devotees are real friends to all living entities. Only a pure devotee can preach the glories of the Lord for the benefit of all the conditioned souls. So anyway, the prayers are still continuing. So for some more verses. Okay, we'll stop here for today. We'll continue tomorrow. So you see, there is the Devatas, so much prayers, so many prayers they're offering, so much philosophical prayers. They do that many times. So therefore, theoretical knowledge is easy to get, but what is difficult is realization. That's Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Samved Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.